Abi? Okay, pharmacist Yusuf Hassan Wada. Thank you so much. I believe we have been enjoying the lectures and that is very, very interactive. We have one more lecture to go. What if I tell you that the lecturer is on ground? What if I tell you that we are waiting for our brothers and sisters who went to the mosque to come in? So while waiting, I would like to say that, like one of the, okay, there's an announcement. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Just to let us know that apart from the registration we've done outside, another list will be going around. And we want to, it contains 5 columns. The first one is there. Please put the name you want in your certificate. The next column is specialty. If you are a pharmacist, just write pharmacist. If you are a fellow, just write WAPC. If you are neither, just write neither, or you put whatever specialty you are. Then your telephone number, please put WhatsApp available telephone number. And your email, please write it very clearly, if possible, capital letters, and then sign. This will be going out short. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, our dear Secretary. So as I was saying, that this program is very interactive and is designed to not just stimulate our desire, but translate that desire to action, where we'll be winning ground. And when I was standing outside, somebody just came and said, okay, we just come in. He said, as the man in charge of grant, as he delivered lecture, I said, no. He said, that's what I came for. Because after all the talk, if you write the manuscript, you do publication. After writing like 10 from your annual salary, there's bound to be some slow down. But if you get one grant can give you opportunity to write 20 papers within the space of 3 or 4 years. The reason is because you will have a lot of collaborators that you are working together, and it becomes so easy. So to do justice, don't know when, do you give permission to go ahead? People from Mosque Ayoba, please. I don't want you to miss this session. We are just going. Okay, it's okay. Please, we will plead with our ask to just exercise the true patience. It's a man of God, so you understand. All right, before we talk about Dr. Abiodun, because he's a man of very few words, he doesn't want me to do too much talk first. We have been doing this training, and I want to ask a question. Those of us who are working in government circle, I talk about people like pharmacist Tony Oni, and if you are working in agency like Mama Ruth Beishayo, what is the normal issue? I mean, if someone wants to get grant to do government work, have you tried it before? And you want to get grant. Then I used to see all these big chips and they will write to World Bank Assistant Project, World Bank Assistant Project. I used to say, how does that thing enter? So what they do, they just buy you cheap and you cruise around. Anybody with that experience, you have worked in a government agency or government branch where they are writing proposal for grant. Anybody? Yes? You issue money. Yeah. You want to know? Anybody? What if pharmacist tell you, okay, our counselor has not taken us. Okay, there is no paper. Because we really need that. There was a time I was in Ogun State, and they have this World Bank assisted project, and they have a director of pharmacy in that department, in the ministry. You know, it's not really common to have you don't have more than 2 directors. But this one, they have a director, a pharmacist, not pharmacists. For World Bank project. So it's a very big project. What I'm trying to say is, if we know how to write proposal that brings grants, but what God usually say is no fund. You know, it's very common. Anything you write to your chief executive, whether council, minister, this and that, you will, 2 words they will use to kill it. No funds. Then KIV, then they sign and put it. And that is it. You won't hear anything about it again. So, but if there's fund, then the project will move on. So we have that. When the woman that was doing manuscript writing, I want us to record this part. She said, you don't know everything. The second speaker, pharmacist Hassan, Wada said, there's always gap. And they say the same thing. Sir, there's always a gap. There's always something that no matter how good you are, your study or your design will not cover. And I will ask this one. This one, I'm the victim myself. You know, when you want to write conclusion, this study have shown by the time you get to like paragraph 7, a very good supervisor or reviewer will just say, did you find all this in this your study? And they begin to underline it. This is not according to your objective. This is not in your methodology. This is not in your finding. And out of about 7 paragraphs you have written, only 2 actually speaks to your specific objectives, and you listed 5. I used to have that problem with my student. I would say, you have not spoken to your objectives. So there's no way. Before you know it, someone will just jump. It is said that I recommended. I said, and for this your study too. You are recommending policy change. Before we carry this matter to Oga Bonny, I'm sure he is hearing me. I said, Oga, we want to do policy change. You will just look at you and say, you know what went to this place, into this before we arrive there. You don't do a study, you will use 200, 300 people, and you are advocating for policy change from your small study. Yes, ma'am. There's no big Oga that will support you because they know that when policy is changing, a lot of money is going to disappear. You are shaking your, I know you know. I know you know because you are there, you were there. The policy change is not so easy. So if you are writing conclusion, you always speak to your objectives. And if your objectives is not clear, please, I beg you, do not even proceed from to chapter 3. If your objectives is not clear, you can actually spend quite a long time debating what your objectives will be. Objective is not difficult. If you are writing dissertation, maybe they want you to talk about 3 or 4. But when you are writing paper, it can be 2. It is only a word that is going nowhere that you will have like 7 objectives in one study, and the journal wants you to write not more than 1,000 words, or they can even tell you not more than 5 pages, including your tables and your figures. So they have a way of restricting you. I don't believe in salami slicing, but I also believe that if your work is too broad, the people who are reading your manuscript, they will lose track. They will lose track. So if you are writing for publication, let it be concise, go straight to the point. Let it go straight to the point. You know, the more I write, the more I realize that I don't know how to write. So because somebody else is also criticizing the one, and they will say this one. But the more I also realize that I'm better than when I started. and far better. So after this, our training, and my appeal to you is that you get home today and look around and pick a topic. Just one topic. So many topics around you. Even in the college, there are so many questions that have not been answered. So many questions. Let me give you one that I keep thinking about it when I'm sleeping and waking up. We want to go to the world. Quality assurance, we want to go to the world. How does it sound? Anybody quality assurance here? Drug production and quality assurance. Oh, they didn't come today. Okay. Quality assurance, we want to go to the world. So who is going, which patient are you seeing? This question is very funny, isn't it? But which patient are you seeing? You are drug production and quality assurance. If you are working with someone like Ogaka Ruba and he decides to create compounding kitchen for you, and you have a compounding kitchen, but you want to go to the world. So I told one of my students, I said, why don't you have a proposal to your boss on quality assurance for hospital pharmacy, and we start dividing it into different bits. Number one, quality assurance for receipt of commodities. You know, when items are coming from outside. You know, I found out that many times we don't even know, they give us the paper. You don't even know the paper what it means. The delivery note, as flimsy as it looks, when they write it anyhow, they just throw it to you. It can actually land somebody in jail. I was privileged to work under Mrs. Ayola in those days. And they will be looking for delivery notes of one of the suppliers. And everywhere in the pharmacy is upside down. You know why? Without delivery note, there's no proof that I can't remember some of those suppliers that so person brought so item. And it's possible that there are 4, 5 persons that have been given orders. And to your shock, you will realize that the person who actually brought the item, by the time you find the delivery note, it's not the person you are thinking about. And we're usually having all those problems. You know, as a young pharmacist, you just keep this mama, you so trust too much. Because mama was really, you know, by 7:30, she's already on her way. And once it is 7:45, 7:50, mama is standing at the entrance of the central drugstore. And me, I will be running. When I say, I think, okay, you are late again. So that really puts me off. You know, you do all the energy, and the next thing you hear from your boss is, you are late every day. I never come early. What I say, Mama, what is? I come to 7:50, I'm late. 7:45. You say, as long as I arrive here before you are late. So she was one who told me about delivery notes, requisition booklet, tracking of drugs from the central store to the units. And we not talk about storage. Then we talk about moving the drugs within the hospital premises. You know, in those days, you will see our ward attendant, they will carry the drugs like this inside their cloth. And then on the way, something does happen. And they trip. And the drugs what? Shatter. I'm like, Mr. Obayemi, why you? Just carry it, you know, you say, you know, it's a nothing no, and be like, the drugs are gone. It has become a loss. Then you talk about quality assurance, even in storage, in the units. The another quality assurance at the point of dispensing. The other quality assurance when the thing gets to the nurses. And I have one case study, very funny. A nurse received urography. No urography used for Is it for ultrasound? Is it ultrasound or something like that? And the nurse used the urography, but the ample was very clean, neatly cut. She poured methylated spirit inside to take home and left the ample on the tray. Do you understand? Where the urography has been used, the poured methylated spirit and left it on the tray and didn't ever put it immediately. So the senior resident doctor came wanting to administer urography to another patient, and without, just without urography, just draw and give. The patient that walked into the hospital by himself became vegetable in the ICU. And that was the case. Yeah, talking about quality assurance. Everybody was like, what happened? This case was a big one, though. It happened many years ago. They've really, they've handled the matter. The pharmacist was called upon, the one who supplied. What did you supply? Urography. Where are the evidence? The execution note and the one they signed. Who received in the word? No, so. Did you provide your urography? Yes. So how did this one enter here? Because this one is not urography. By accidentally the bottle, this is methylated spirit. And they drag and drag. The doctor simply said one thing. I love doctors. The one that if you come, I even love him more. The doctor said, what I saw on the cart is what? Urography. The label is and I administer. I don't have any reason to doubt that it's not urography. The one I've been using before, they have the same packaging. How did methylated spirit enter? You do not say I put it there. She will be guilty of two things. Theft. No, the first one is theft. Because she's not supposed to take the hospital methylated spirit at all. By the time they finished the matter, it was the nurse that found it. But let's go back. Let's open the things. As pharmacists, could the pharmacy have done better? That's the question that we look at. Because the pharmacy was not there in that ultrasound room to monitor what happened. But could pharmacists have done better if we have something like quality assurance protocol, stick to the side of the machine for the doctor to read before administering? For something known, they say, pharmacy should not come because they may be anxious about stuff. And we used to say it in those days. They say every professional is anxious about his stuff. And we need to have that conversation. We can tell the medics, we are not taking over your stuff. Actually, we are strengthening your practice. Are they back? Are they back?
They are back.
Okay. Okay, please, so let's come inside those. Stretching leg down, you don't do.
So we have to finish the session before.
Yes, I believe the story helped you. Thank you. Our next lecturer is here. Dr. Abiodun Hassan is a medical practitioner. He's an expert in public health, infectious disease, epidemiology, strategic information, monitoring and evaluation. He has over 20 years of professional experience implementing and managing several donor-funded public health programs. The list is ended: USD, JFID, Global Fund, at national and subnational levels in Nigeria. He has worked effectively with donors, program staff, and technical experts to implement startup projects related to increasing access to tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS, malaria, and reproductive health services, facilitating the scale-up of HIV and TB program, and strengthening health and community system, national and subnational. He is a data scientist with sound analytical skills and network opportunities to relevant government, international, and local NGOs. He has skills in policy analysis. He has supported various national policy development and review processes. He's a resource person at several workshops and training sessions on monitoring, research methodology, and program evaluation. He manages multiple research projects and leads a team of senior technical experts and support staff to carry out project activities efficiently to the satisfaction of donors and stakeholders. Dr. Hassan facilitated the collation and validation of viral hepatitis data to generate the first global reporting on viral hepatitis in Nigeria in 2019. He is a consultant to the Global Fund and WHO for tuberculosis, epidemiological reviews, and strategic planning. As you have been doing that since 2020. Dr. Hassan has been the lead consultant for the conduct of the National Tuberculosis Epidemiological Surveillance and Data Management Review for Sierra Leone and Afghanistan. He is married to Dr. Mrs. Omawumi Hassan. I know them because Dr. Hassan is my mentor, and they have children, good children. Please let's welcome Dr. Hassan to the program. His lecture is grant something and management. Please.
Just a moment.
Okay, just a moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On this one? Yeah. The contact can be pointing as well for you to change yourself. Okay, so the slide should be this. Okay. Good afternoon, sirs and ma'ams. Good afternoon. Very distinguished audience, and very privileged to be here with you this afternoon. When I came in here, I was really overwhelmed with the fact that we have almost a full house of great minds discussing something very intellectual, really beneficial to us and to the country as well. I don't want to go to too much detail. This is just a brief of the outline I want to go through. And I just want to go straight to the point because my time is limited. I'm asked to talk about basically the process of grant making, or how to really work through a process to harness grants or funds. So maybe for a personal research or for an organization, or for whatever level, or even for maybe the country level as well. Maybe perhaps have different encounters working at those different levels to be able to harness grant resources. This, I would try my best to break it down, but I have another slide that may not be here, but I will talk to it. Some other practical tips that will help us as we go through this process. So grant making is the art of acquiring peer research funding. That is what we know it to be. In other words, we are harnessing resources, financial resources, to enable us carry out a research activity. And research, as you know, is basically about generating knowledge, maybe new knowledge, or emphasizing what's already known, all right? And also using those knowledge to impact policies or to inform change in a setting, clinical setting, or understanding of a particular concept, as it were, or you are adding or embellishing a theory or a concept, as it were. So research is really very dynamic, very exciting, that you really want to do. And so, also understand that the grant making also involves a very effective collaboration between the donor and the requesting entities to translating funding requests into a quality grant. So on the side of the donor, their mindset is about ensuring that the recipient of the fund is able to translate the resources into a productive use, into an output that will impact, that will improve the health outcome, as it were, or make a significant change, maybe policy, as I've mentioned earlier. So the reasons why you write grants, one is probably because you want to also pay yourself, or you want to pay your staff who are working in your lab, or you want to pay for services. You are investing more resources to enable you perform your routine work, or that you really want to do research itself, that I'll describe shortly. Okay, so there are many reasons why you want to receive grants. Now, let's look at this quickly. There are a couple of stages, so it may differ from one organization to the other. I will come to a few mentions of possible sources or organizations as well. They all have their different, procedure or protocol of getting or harnessing their research opportunities. But there's still this sequence of events is common to many of them, or to most of them, I would say. Okay, so it starts with a planning phase when you are conceiving the conceptualization of the research or the whole project or the proposal. Okay, you also develop a timeline. How long do you want this grant to be? Okay, is it a 6 month duration, or a 1 year duration, or a 5 year duration, depending on the size and scope of what you are really looking at. And then, of course, the type of research or the grant you are really looking into. Now, take note of this. I'm also using the word proposal along the line, because in many places, proposals are more broader in scope, and they could actually embed research elements in them. And so, most donor organizations, I had somebody talking about World Bank grants, maybe even if it's WHO or other sources, okay, or Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the like. So they may come through proposal, but in that proposal, there is a research component in it. But essentially, whether it is a research grant or a proposal that you are writing for, you are still requesting for funding. Am I getting it? Yeah, so you are requesting for grants, you are requesting for support to be able to, financial terms, to be able to carry out what you have in mind. You are the one conceiving the whole idea about the project, about the proposal or the research. So they are the ones to fund you. But then there must be an alliance between what you are proposing and what is the interest of the donor or the granting agency. So it means that you must be able to communicate or present your proposal or your request in such a way that it is convincing to the entity giving the grant that what you are going to do is going to be making a significant public change, okay, or a publicity impact or a improving the health outcome as it were. Now, so once you develop your proposal or your research proposal, let me put it that way, you will, of course, you submit. After submission, it goes through a lot of reviews back and forth, and then you agree on the scope of your proposal in line together with your donor or whoever is granting you. You also want to agree on the timeline, time duration for that entity. Is it a pilot phase or is it a full implementation phase that you are actually requesting for in the first instance? So it may also be spread over a period of time, depending on what is feasible for the funding pipeline. Now, you also need to be able to negotiate a budget, okay, and defend that budget. So all of this is during the negotiation phase, or what is also known as the co-creation phase. So when you are jointly working hand in hand with the entity representing the donor to be able to package an effective research proposal that we want to annex. Because it doesn't just end at just making a submission, okay? Usually, when you make a submission, the granting agency may get back to you and say, oh yes, we appreciate your submission. We would like you to look at this and give you feedback on what areas you want to review or to make some updates or correction, or to expand on a particular concept, okay, on a particular approach to it, or to review your methodology for what you have proposed, okay? So you have that back and forth. And once that is going on, that means that you have a likelihood that your submission, your proposal, is really getting the buy-in of your donor. Okay. Now there are other ways you can get this done. Now there are solicited grants, and there are also what is called the unsolicited grant, for example. Now, solicited grant means that there is a public announcement, okay, on the website, on the website of the agency. And so you go there to apply based on the criteria on the request that is made. Now, so you may, and then you can go through a lot of competition. But in other instances, you have unsolicited grant process, whereby the agency is the one reaching out to you, maybe because of your previous work, maybe because of your articles they've seen online. They maybe you see, oftentimes you may notice that some people may reach out to you because you have your profile, maybe on LinkedIn, on some other professional site, or you have also what I call the ORCID ID. Okay, so they will review your profile and they can reach out to you and say, okay, yeah, we see that you are really interested, you are a very sound researcher in this particular area. We would like to collaborate with you. We would like you to, can you consider putting up something in this area? So they are the one urging you. So in that case, you have an opportunity to go to town and project yourself to that granting agency. You get it? Are you following now? So in that way, so that is a very, very easy way to get to annex a funding that is not even open to competition. Okay. Now, so after you have finalized and all that, so you submit for approval. Approvals go through different levels within the organization and all of that. They keep writing back to you. That is when they are looking at the signatories, other documentation, financial records, and all of that. So once it is approved, of course, it goes into the signing, and then actual contracting is finally done. That is when they begin to look at your other staffing arrangement. Who are the competencies that you have within your team to implement that particular work? Why is that so? Because you are not the only one that will implement the research. You also need other collaborators. You also need other team members to work with. You want to be sure that you have the right caliber of personnel that are working with you because likelihood is that the research is paying for their time. The research is paying for the data collection, is paying for maybe a co-principal investigator, is paying for a biostatistician that is helping you to do your analysis and all of that. So you need to be able to have that already prepared, okay? So I move on. So before you start, so you read the guidebook, okay? The guidelines and application forms carefully and follow them exactly. Now, that is where we make errors. Sometimes we jump into, we just read, maybe it's a 20-page or 30-page document. They say the devil is in the details. Is that not so? Yeah. So, oftentimes, there are embedded nuances inside the protocol, inside the guide. And if you don't really pay attention to it, in fact, sometimes each time you write, you keep going back and you start to check. You highlight, you color it, you shade it to be sure that if they say use font 12, you don't use font 13. If they say this is the number of pages this section must have, you don't go beyond that. Do you follow? So many of us take light of that and then we just write because we are very sound. We are not we are always doing this kind of writing. And then you write and you don't get any result. You just wait. Because the first thing they will check is the compliance with the guideline. Once you don't even comply with the guideline, they don't even read through your content. They just straight into the trash. It's a big process of elimination. All right. So it is very important that we read the application forms or guidelines carefully and make sure we meticulously follow through. You carry carry out summaries of your previous studies, because as we go through the sections of the protocol that there is also important us to do this. So you find and study previous grant proposals, maybe from that funding agency. You do a search. What are the kind of things they are funded? What are the things who have been successful in getting award from this organization? So you learn from those previous proposals that have succeeded, and then you can pick a cue from how they are able to construct their own proposal in developing yours. Hello. The reason is that grant proposal is quite different from PhD dissertation. Hello. It's different from master's dissertation. It looks close, but they are different. Are you together? Okay. So find out. So when you think that you already are used to writing your thesis and you publish articles, it's totally a bit somewhat different. There are certain things they look out for, and if they are not there, you don't just get it. Okay. So you find out who the members of the review committees are. If they are able to get that will be helpful. If it is published or if it's not, just be sure that you are really competing odds. So identify essential and appropriate investigators to collaborate with and discuss your ideas and brainstorm. This is very critical. At the very onset, it is good to engage with other collaborators. Two good heads are better than one. In the current world of grants or proposal, it is always better to be more collaborative. Hello? It is what? Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. You really can't, they don't even expect you to do it alone. So don't expect that you will be the only one to sit on it, because you are looking at the big money. $200,000 is dangling in your face, and you want to grab it alone. You don't want other people to know about it. It doesn't work that way. Hello. So this kind of thing needs a bit. Sorry, I'm using this one instead of. So I've gone through this. So the application itself. So I try to repeat this one because it's very important. So read the instructions carefully and follow them exactly. When you write, should be an easy flow read. you should be able to joyfully read it. So that even a not very scientifically inclined person will understand this essence of what we are trying to do. Because everyone that will review the proposal, they are not all going to be professors. There are people that are, their own work is just editorial. There are people that are just mere, what do you call it? They only check for grammar. They just want to enjoy the read. Some people that will read it may just be sociologists. They just want to be sure that it makes sense, it is flowing, it is aligned. Okay, so as you want to use so much of very sound technical words, you have to explain those technical words. Make it less bogus. Are you for it? Okay. And then if you use acronyms, like many of us like, please try to write it in full first, so that you are not confusing your audience. Because what is an acronym, what an acronym means to you, may mean something else to another person. You get it? So don't assume that they will know what you mean. Okay? Like I said, format paginations are very important, and then extensive internal reviews. When you write, also share with others to read it and then submit on time. Let me go through this. So preparing the application. You also need your bio sketch. How many of us have seen the template of a bio sketch? Okay. Okay, I did it. Yeah, so I did it. Okay, so I can send a link. I can send samples of that. Now, particularly if you are, many of us have very lengthy CVs. Sometimes your CV can be up to 40 pages. Oh, you've just seen that. Oh, wow. Sometimes your CV can be up to 40 pages, 20 pages. But a bio brief that is needed for this work, they don't need your CV. They don't have time to look into that. In fact, what I sent is a redacted copy of my bio sketch to the organizer so they can share it. Okay, so I used an NIH template for the bio sketch. Okay, for that. So because if you are requesting for certain grants, what they need is your bio sketch. And in that bio sketch, what it's looking about is a very brief summary, not more than 2 pages of whatever you have been doing. And it really talks about your person, your degrees, your research affiliation, and also certain research, your core research areas, and then some few publications that justify your work, and then how does your work has impacted policy or social change. That is what they want to, because that is what you want to justify your proposal. They want to see evidence that you're already doing something like that. So, but many times when we write our CV, we don't put that into consideration. Am I correct? Yes. You will not demonstrate how the researches you have listed or you collaborated with has impacted social change. You don't have visibility to that. You just say, I write, I publish. You just go. You just write and publish and put. So what has it changed? What is it leading to? Do you get it? So you do a bio sketch, and then it also shows how you are collaborating with other researchers as well. And then, of course, making sure it's up to date. Yeah, I also encourage us to register on ORCID, ORCHID.org. Okay, so that site is actually for researchers to show their work, okay, and to show relevance to their ongoing research, previous publication, and all of that. So for the world, for the media, it's for research interested entities to be able to connect with you. All right. You also need letters of support. So this is where I was talking. Where is this? Yeah, this one. This is our bio sketch I described. they will share with us a sample, maybe. And I can share with you a standard template as well. After. Of course, you also get letters of support, and then you prepare your budget. Right. Now, let me go. Time is of essence. Now, you may see an advert for a proposal, grant proposal, that is to close in April 30th. Today is February 22nd. Oh, you say, oh, yeah, there's enough time. Say April 30th. Oh, we still have more than 2 months. But I tell you, if you are in this work, you don't have that luxury of time. In fact, you will have to work backwards from that time to begin to work harder between now and that time. Because by the time you get into the business, you realize that you are not able, you'll be struggling to catch up with the last minute submission. Are you getting my point? So timing is a very serious issue, and time really matters here. Now, this is just some components of the research proposal. I'm sure somebody has read this already. Developing research hypothesis. Am I correct? Yeah, so just develop, I'll follow this. So for those who wanted to take some, this is where I was before this. Now, so developing research hypothesis. So you are trying to formulate what is going to be the basis for what you want to propose. You need for somebody to have a clear understanding of what is the general research question. Your hypothesis, you state it, you are familiar with that. Why is this important? Is it new or exciting or creative or is innovative as it were? What work have you already done in that relevant area? So what is this asking us is really asking for your passion, your interest. In your routine work, you see things that will stimulate research interest. You maybe even when you hear the news, even when you read articles or journals. And I tell you as researchers, if you are not often reading journals, you not have so much of the inclination to research. And also, if you don't also, if you're also reading journals or other maybe journal articles, it also helps you to have a critical mind to want to do more research or to look for funding. And that is what sometimes stimulates your interest to go for even conferences. And many times, I've realized that when you go for conferences and you present, after the presentation, so many people can come around you. You see some white guy, some people wanting to connect with you. The idea is to really sell yourself, because after that conference, you will see collaboration will be coming. They may send emails to you. They may be able to connect with you. Okay, so I've seen that happen a couple of times. So don't take the conference for granted. As you share your complimentary business card or share your slide, so many people may be interested in that your work, and they may want to collaborate with you. Okay, they may be the one getting the grant, the grant, and they say, "Oh yes, we want to extend it to Nigeria. We are doing it in Ghana. We want to see Nigerian perspective of that particular study." So it becomes a multi-country study, and then you become part of the collaborator. Okay, so it really works very well. So your curiosity, your interest really matters a lot in this regard. So you develop your hypothesis based on your area of focus and interest. But basically, in doing that, like I said, you take attention to your designs, the kind of design. It could be an operational research or an implementation research. What's the difference between it? In an operational research, you are doing a research to really find out the why. Okay, to understand why there is things are not moving the way they should be, or to help an already existing program to find to understand the reasons for barriers and challenges in that program that is already going on. But whereas, so you are generating also evidence or information or knowledge. But whereas in an implementation research or science, you are actually transforming knowledge or evidence into policy and practice. Are you getting my point? So there's a bit of a difference. So understanding the appropriate design for your study is also quite important. Many of the donor grants want you to go into implementation research because they are interested in affecting public policy. Hello, do you get my point? Yes. Yes. So there are many protocols, global protocols, WHO standard guideline, UNICEF, this one, that one. So they want you to be able to come up with an approach to domesticate that protocol in your own country. So you can apply. World Bank will give you grant to say, oh yes, it's a global standard. So it's not happening in Nigeria. So you want to apply for that grant. Nigeria will apply for that. Maybe an agency. Okay, that's why we talk about World Bank grant. Because they want to also use that opportunity to meet maybe the SDG goals, for example. All right. So Global Fund has already provided a lot of opportunities for strategies for countries to adapt. So in that strategy, you develop an intervention, okay, which you would conceive as an implementation research. And then you can write to donor agencies to want to say, I'm interested in doing this and the like. So you understand the whole process. So one of the very essential parts of the protocol for grant is this aspect called abstract. It's like this overall summary. All right, and it's very critical. It's the first thing that any reviewer will do. Says this is probably the most important section of your application. Take it seriously, and you write it last. You can't summarize a document that has not been fully completed. Am I correct? Yes, you can have the skeleton, but you're still building it up. Work on it extensively. It is the first thing that is read and sets the final first impression. Say first impression really matters, isn't it? So you really want to dwell so much on it. Okay, so this critical component of the proposal. So I talked about the introduction, which contains also the abstract. It's a global overview of the entire proposal, and under it is also the abstract. So you have the aims and objectives of your entire proposal, okay, well clearly stated, okay, and then we're also stating who are the beneficiaries of this work, clearly defined, okay. Most times we talk about the hard to reach, the particular age category. I was reading an article recently about how some researchers decided to scale up. They saw a gap in HPV vaccination in a particular community or in a particular state. And then they realized that in that particular environment, they could use pharmacy outlets to reach out to more people, more young people. Young people in the age of 9 to 14 or 17 may not go to the hospital. They don't often want to go. Is that not so? But they could go to the chemist. They could go to the pharmacy shop and pick paracetamol and pick vitamin C. So they decided that, oh, why not let us use the pharmacy outlet to bridge the gap of reaching out to the eligible population, 9 to 14 years, who are the recipients of HPV vaccination. And so they created an intervention between the pharmacists and then the doctors in the hospital. And then they were able to come up with a protocol for data exchange, for you to track. So those are some of the opportunities to bring in. So they have a procedure and a concept and a theory that is also guiding them. You can call it diffusion innovation theory. All right. There are many kinds of theories in science. Phenomenological concept, they will call it. They will call it SCM, socio-ecological model. They will have health belief model. So you come up with your own theory, your own concept that fits into a particular theory of change. Do you get it? So that can help you deliver on that outcome. So you also write up significance of that particular study. Why is it significant? Why will it make a change? Like in that study now, by increasing HPV vaccination among those young people, what are they trying to do? They are helping to not just increasing the vaccine coverage, but ultimately helping to prevent cancer, cervical cancer episode in the next 10 to 20 years to come in that population. So that's a very innovative, very helpful, informing policy. All right. Of course, at the back end of it, is this one called literature, grounded in literature. You must be able to show that there's a gap. You must be able to show a connection with existing work, okay, and show that evidence. Other colleague has presented earlier talked about journals, and I'm sure he has dwelt a lot about something like this. So you do a lot of digging to be sure that somebody is not already done what you are already trying to do, okay, and convincing that this is still something that is they must do. Of course, you talk about your methods that you will use, sampling methodology, your data management process, and all of that. And now you disseminate the results to the larger audience when it is completed. Of course, when we talk about conclusion and references, you must be able to do a linking between your objectives when you are doing your conclusion and the summarization of the work. There must be a very easy flow all through this entire network. Okay, and then of course, your references must be appropriate. And of course, when you do your references, you must have an approach to your reference. There are different referencing style, whether it is Harvard, or whatever it is that you want to really use. So be consistent when you choose one. Guidelines for specific aims. I will not bore us for this one. Learning and writing. So I mentioned I've already sorted out this one. So take note of all the guidelines. Okay. Let's go on. So literature review, I discussed that now. So the significance of the work is really quite critical. So tell the reviewer the importance of your proposed research, how the research will contribute to science and the society, relate hypotheses and research to longer-term scientific objectives, and integrate your previous work with what's already existing. And then, of course, be able to try it to be worth in terms of money. Organize your sections, headings, and subsections. Write your topics very well, your sentences clearly, and then be sure to link your aims with your other sections of the document and give more detail on the studies close to your hypothesis and the strengths and weaknesses that you have observed. Now, so even when you write, you can have another product coming out of it. So you can even write, and this can be another product for another publication itself as you develop. Just to keep that in mind. Now, as you make progress, be sure that you are putting everything in a sync. There's an alignment in the entire document that I did mention before, and you are also chronicling what you have already done to have visibility of your existing research work. Now, this is just about the site design that you already know about. So just on this slide, I want to really buttress about, of course, talk about the design process I discussed. Subjects of the research, how you select them is very critical so that you are avoiding bias. And if there is bias at all in selection, you also explain why you accommodate that bias and how you will be able to resolve it. Okay, in public health, then we accommodate a lot of bias because it's about ethics. Okay, you also balance those things with ethics because you don't want to the principle of do no harm. So if this treatment is beneficial to the public, why will you want to deprive them of getting it? So you want to really balance science with your ethics as it were. Okay. And then of course be clear with your measurement tools that we are going to use. Pre-test plans, data management, and quality control. Data management in terms of how you store the data, confidentiality, how you the tools for harnessing, collecting the data, and also ensuring protection of confidential information, so even during and after the study. And then, of course, when you are, of course, in your analysis as well, the kind of analysis you want to do, you must be able to discuss it and be sure that it's actually helping you to answer your objectives that you set out to do. All right. And of course, when you look at the sampling size and all that, the implication of this is also because it has some implication on the budget. The larger your sample, the more you are trying to expand your, funding envelope. Of course, if the funding envelope is already determined, you can't change it. So it is you that will need to strain to be sure that you contain within the budget envelope, as it were. And of course, time. So you can use diagram to represent a whole lot of things to make sure you have less words in your write-up. This is just another example of a flow diagram that shows the stages of how you want to process your intervention. For example, this is an HIV program, for example, that is showing how they are linking from the very onset of the project to the project completion and retention, and then showing what activities will be done, okay, at different stages of the work, how they are linked to each other, the output they will be getting and they are tracking during that particular phase. And of course, donors like to see such kind of things because there is more tutorial, it's more easy to absorb. So timelines. So you have the Gantt chart to be able to explain how each of the components of the work is going to be implemented and year by year. Common mistakes of first-time writers is that they may go too much to town about literature, and then you keep just overwhelmed and bog yourself with too much stuff. And that happens because sometimes instead of you synthesizing the literature, you are more or less doing a copy and paste. Yeah. Which can be more of a plagiarism. So you have to synthesize different research into one sentence. But sometimes you just say, okay, this person said, and you write it. Such and so said, you write it. In this research, they said this, you write. That will be poor. So you synthesize what you have read so that you make your work smarter in the literature. So, and then too much time spent on background and significance, writing too much to justify that you know what you are doing. That you need to really go to the meat of the work, and then so this one I take away. So I will scroll to the next one. So basically about how you protect human subject in your research is you need to also showcase that in your work, how you really provide for gender balancing, ethical consideration, informed consent, confidentiality, as I mentioned earlier on. Let me just come 2-3 slides, but because there's no personal proposal. Hello? Hi. Do you agree with me? Very well. So, budget, try and do your budget earlier. Once you have an idea of the sample size and complexity of the intervention, never leave it to the last minute. So in other words, you begin to have a budget template that you begin to populate, maybe with a financial expert who can also work with you on knowing the nitty-gritty of what you need to budget for. All right. Some donors are very granular. They want you to be very, very, very pedantic. Go to details. They want to see everything detailed, how you spend the naira and kobo. Some, that is why many times avoid using lump sum. Lump sum, they will just do it. They won't relate to it. So that means that you really have a clear understanding or detail about everything you want to do. If in your work you will need to buy needles and syringes, 20, indicate it there. Hello. You don't say it's cheap, you can always get it. No. In fact, even including it means that you understand every process of that approach you are proposing. Do you follow? Yes, sir. Yes. So don't take anything for granted, because it may haunt you along the process if you are not careful. So be careful not to under budget or overestimate your costs. And then hidden costs include things around IT support, rental, travel, insurance, and just For an NIH example, for instance, NIH will expect you to cost for your personnel, okay, include their names if possible and their position, their level of effort. Not everybody will contribute 100% of time. Even the principal investigator may not be fully 100%. It may just be 50%. You may have other staff who are really on the lab more 100%. Okay, because they are not taking away your current job. You are adding it to your current job. So when you give an impression as if 100% of your time, they think that there's an element of fraud. Right? Are you getting the point? So you want to be very cautious with that. So so consultant costs that you want to recruit along the line. You also want to engage other people to work with you. You need to indicate that. Maybe a consultant, communication expert, for example. You are not good with doing FGD. You want to get somebody to help you do that. Okay. So focus group discussion. So you want to engage someone to do that. So you want to pay for that time. You already plan for that. You are not a biostatistician, so you want to engage a consultant biostatistician to help you during the particular phase of the work. You also indicate that. Okay, so all those things are essential. The equipment you are using, are they borrowed? Are they going to be fully bought? You also need to indicate that. Other supplies as needed, travels, patient care costs. If you are going to be paying for patient time, or patients maybe giving some incentives for patients during that program, you also indicate that. Okay, and justify why you are doing that as well. Okay, alterations or renovation that needs to be done in the course of the work. Particularly if you are doing an institutional study, this is also quite important. Other consultants or contractual activity that may be involved also need to look at that. Okay, so I'll just run through for example. So this is just about when you do a budget, you also do what is called a budget justification, a narration, to explain each of the entities that you have put in your budget. Okay, so that it's clear to your reader. Why do you have the unit cost, the level of effort of the principal investigator, and all these things, and the length and the time to take for them to work? So, why do you want to include your colleague in the office? Is it because of because you like his face, or is he going to contribute any meaningful thing to the work? So you want to justify that. Okay, this person has been he has technical skill to be able to do this, and we'll be working together as co-researchers on previous work. He will have all those kind of things that we write even in the journal article. So personnel costs, like I did mention, you also need to explain them very clearly why they are doing that. Okay. Equipment, like I did mention, you are buying a new computer, you also need to state that, okay, and the precision effect is going to be more than one. You are doing maybe PCR test, maybe in the lab, you want to buy reagents, disposable plastics, laboratory supplies. You also want to justify and provide all the quantities you are procuring based on your sample size, you remember, and then so you see the implication why your sample size will affect a whole lot of costing items. So you don't just do a lump sum and say I will need 20,000 for lab commodity. How do you know that 20,000 will be enough? Hello. So when you do the breakdown, then you know in actual fact that the money may not be enough. You may be needing more. Okay, and that is what the reviewers would like to see often time. The travels you want to make, even you include your participating in conference, for example, in your body, so that you can tell them you want to also showcase part of the work, even if it's at the pilot stage. Outcome, you want to share it at the international conference that is coming, and then you want to be able to get more input from other people from that conference. So you justify it. Either it is local travel, you also need to justify what all of it. Okay. Like I mentioned, patient care costs, you also want to do that. Okay. So common sense, so take home message this is that common sense and planning is not substitute for experience, but they often help. So planning is very essential. And then you follow the guidelines, follow the rules very meticulously. Hire the best staff you can, if you can, and manage them with the clear expectations. So for every staff you even engage, there should be a team terms of reference. Hello, everybody involved in your research process will also do what? Have a terms of reference. And of course, we expect that for every one of us that is going to be involved in those kinds of grants, you have what is called your bioethics certificate, for example. Okay, so if you are going to, particularly are doing research with humans, so it's also good to always have that ready. Okay, in addition to your bioprint. Pretest what you have done and review with others, and of course, check your budgeting process again and again. All right, so I will just tell you this one. I wanted to show you a link. They will be sharing with you this final slide. You will have it there. There is a link online that talks about guides to funding sources in the world for academic research. So I will share that before. If you even just Google it, guides to top funding sources in the world for academic research, it gives you some synopsis about different funding organizations, what they fund, and what are some of their requirements, okay, that you can really pay attention to. So number one key thing is that you must understand the funding agency, read and ensure that you comply with their instructions very meticulously, submit your work to other reviewers to help you make input, and ensure that you address all typo and grammatical errors. If you are familiar with this particular tool, Grammarly, okay, on your system, I help you to really review your work in Grammarly to correct grammatical errors, or you can use other AI device called ChatGPT is very common. Okay, it can also help you correct some of your statements that may not be well written. Also, submit timely. Timeliness is very key. I also emphasize the issue of collaboration. Your passion also drives what you do. Hard work is not to be taken for granted. So there's a lot of effort needed here and persistence to get it right source. If you don't get it the first time, you don't give up. And you keep on working till you get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The subject matter of Grantsmanship, the Nigeria Institute of Medical Research takes 21 days to train researchers on Grantsmanship. And that's what Dr. Abiodun was able to put through to us in just an hour at the max. I could see that the lectures were designed in such a way that you can't be thinking of Grantsmanship proposals for grants without having grounded yourself in manuscript development and so on. So we decided to take the three together because you have to be thinking in the broad way. It's not just for you to be writing and publishing. Okay, for what purpose? So that you win grants and do implementation researches that can impact on policy and activities. So it's time for questions or comments as usual. We'll start on here, then we'll go online so that we can call it a day. It's a well-spent day. Thanks for the participation. Both online and on-site people have been around. Let's have some comments and questions. Let's start. Okay, number one. Okay, number two. Anybody on this side? Okay, later. Okay, there's number three and number four. Okay. Okay, 5, 6. That's fine. So let me start with number one.
Number one, you kept saying I didn't know anyone understand and number two, you said how can apply for grants? They would like to know that your research has something to do with policy change. You've done a research and publishing. Is there an organization that you take your research work, okay, I found out how does it affect policy? Like for example, I don't have anything to do with policy change. So how do I do that before?
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. To me, the whole thing is like a rocket science for me. I'm actually asking this in this field, they look very innovative. Why is it that there is nothing like student in this class? No, the two today this one, this is not like searching, not searching service. So is there any way you can to be part of this kind of class so that we can learn the art? Because just theoretically, so I think you should make it so that people can begin to know how to implement your thing, because they have a lot of technicalities and a lot of things that people need to actually know more you can actually implement. So can it be make for people to because somebody like me, if I so that I can learn. That's my own.
Questions and you comment. Who's number 3? Number 3, we are forgetting your number. Number 3 is number 4.
Okay, mine is more. Just wanted to add to us. There are actually grants for early careers like us. I think there's a Royal Society of Tropical Medicine and such in every year. I think
Volume.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Royal Society.
Okay, I was just saying that I wanted to make a comment regarding what he was just saying on grant. The first key thing is that there are smaller grants for early career people that are not really experienced or have not had any career. I was just saying there's a Royal Society for Tropical Medicines. They actually fund up to 5,000, something like that, for any career every year. I know many undergraduates have gotten it. Royal Tropical Medicine. Royal Society for Tropical Medicine. You can just search it. And I know NIMR, for medical research. They do some trainings and also give some small projects. It might not be billions, they're starting, but it's something to actually start. And I just there are also some small organizations that do some fellowship at some grant. I know an organization that I actually very active, the International Health Society for people into infectious diseases. They have so many fellowships at this most of money, $10,000 and many people I know on the planet. So when you search International Health Society, IES, so just check their website. Over the after the IAS, International Health Society. There's also MasterCard for people into entrepreneurship. MasterCard Foundation. We have small grants for many people. MasterCard Foundation. MasterCard. They also have billions in their high level.
Number 4. We have to end the virtual by 3.
Okay, my question is this. Thank you, sir, for the lecture number 1. We have heard that if you are doing writing proposal, they are writing to, they want to know the qualification and competence of those who are collaborating with you. I want you to medical lab scientists, they will insist that the person must be certified medical laboratory scientist. They don't want pharmacists that has knowledge of how to do medical lab science protocol. They want a certified licensed medical lab scientist. That is what I wish to throw about.
Number 5 and number 6.
Thank you, sir. When in your course of presentation, you talked about being detailed in writing out your budgets and knowing how things fluctuate, the price of things. You have written a budget, let's say last year, and then getting it this year with the change of economic instability. What are you supposed to have gotten such?
Last one.
Thank you very much. Nice. Please, I want to ask about Gotcha. Is there an application where to get? Because I've been trying to plot it. I've been having some. The last time I plotted it, I was good at the manual I did. So I don't know if you can just get me the link or wherever where I can right now. Because in those days now, we know how to plot all that chart and graph, like the pie chart, histogram, and all those things. But during our own time, this one I've been trying to do it before now, and it's something I needed.
So I think you need to wrap up in 10 minutes so that virtual can participate. Thank you.
Thank you. I think a gentleman here has really helped. There is, in addition, let me just quickly talk about this source of funding application. So one of the things that I didn't mention is the very easy one also, apart from this other sources, is when you deliberately, your own professional organization, societal group, oftentimes they also have small grants that they release annually. For instance, you belong to American Public Health Association, APA. So they will tell you release as a member of that body, they will already release opportunities for interested researchers to bid in for a particular amount of research. Whether you belong to Royal Society for Public Health, they also have opportunities for research grants. So depending on different associations you belong to, there is also always a room, always opportunity for you to access research opportunities. So, and of course, like the ones that mentioned, Royal Society, the Welcome Cross UK is also a very valid one. But of course, all those global things are very competitive, and so that is why you need to work with collaborators to be able to have a very winning proposal. Budget detailing, including and taking into consideration inflation. Yes. So, right, that is why you mentioned during the phase of the cycle of the grant making, there is a period of co-creation, a process of negotiation. So, you already will imply in your budget narration that inflation factor may also be taken into consideration during implementation. So, the donor is also sensitive to that. They want to succeed. They also want to be part of your success. So they are not giving you the money to as a bottleneck or whatever you are doing. So they'll be very flexible to be able to accommodate that. Grant chart, GANTT chart. Yeah. So the Excel platform, the Excel tool itself is becoming more robust now. Okay, to be able to, by the time you open up, first of all, you are opening up an Excel. There's this page that opens. It gives you budget, it gives you some other things. So it is in that page you can also plug in to see opportunities for Gantt chart templates. Just like the same way we do with PowerPoint. Why is there no room for tutelage or mentorship? Yes, there are also, of course, there. But it's also to do with interest, also in whatever the person wants, and then of course the person you want to collaborate with. Yeah, so your interest must align to be able to work together. Okay, and then your availability too for that particular activity. So because many people do not want to bring on board someone, and then the person is always giving excuses. I don't have time. So it's quite rigorous. You need to deliberately create time for it and be able to work together. There's always opportunity for that. I'm looking for that. Yeah, anytime you come. How does your work affect policy when you have not even been doing that? So I mentioned something about your biosketch. So, but you have been part of certain publications, certain research work. when you are doing those research work, the objective, the significance of that work is what you go and do. What's the overriding goal for doing that primary research? There is something you want to do at. Even when you do your master's project, there is something thesis. You want to also contribute to knowledge, isn't it? When you do your PhD dissertation, it is also about addressing a major gap in the society. That is the policy change. All right. So you just summarize those statements, and put them in your biology. Okay. So you don't often do that in your CV or resume, but you have the opportunity to showcase that in your biology that you can publish, and also people can look at it. NIH, as somebody has mentioned, National Institute of Health, United States. Those are the very biggest funding agency in the world that comes to research. Thank you very much. So, this one, qualification of a collaborator, it depends on the nature of the funding and the nature of the research that you are doing. If you are doing a very pure clinical research, you need the right technically sound people. If you are a public health, they still give waivers here and there, so you may not be very so strict. That they can take a lab technician in case of the lab science. You understand? As long as the person can carry out a phlebotomy, can carry out those things. So it doesn't need the specialist to do it. Thank you.
Question about the ORC.
Okay. So ORCHID. ORCHID. That's the question. Okay.
Thank you very much. Please, let's give him another round of applause. Now we have to come back for the appreciation. It's ORCID.org. Yes. So, as we did for the other presenters, we are also appreciating our resource person and also asking him to be, he has actually offered it, but we will still state it, that we will open that window for mentor-mentee relationship. I'm sure people will reach out, and we will also reach out as a group to maintain the networking and the relationship. So on behalf of the WAPCP Abuja Zone and all the members and also participants, we want to appreciate you. This letter.
Thank you so much.
So we have successfully come to the end, and I must say that it has elicited the response we want, and this is not the end, it's actually the beginning of the journey, because the aspiration or the expectation is whoever has participated in this program, how will be appreciated by December, we have published our first article. So we'll continue the follow-up, we'll go into cohorts, both as fellows and research enthusiasts, so that interest group can be together and we'll get the mentors and guide the process until we successfully do our first publications, as the case may be. So on behalf of the zone, we appreciate those online and also participants. Everybody has shared his email. We guarantee you will share all the available links they have given and the presentations and any other forthcoming thing. And thank you, and God bless for coming. Thank you.